All eyes are on Illinois. Next month, the state will host the Democratic National Convention, and it will be one of the first times Vice President Harris's running mate will take center stage, literally probably the first time. And one of the names on that not-so-short list of contenders is the governor of Illinois and our next guest, J.B. Pritzker, who in recent days has called out Republicans on their anti-abortion stance.
Abortion is not a dirty word. It's a medical procedure. And when we make something shameful to say, we make it shameful to do. It's none of our business if an abortion is rare, as long as it's safe and legal.
The governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, joins us now. He's also the founder of the abortion rights group, Think Big America. Governor, as we played the clip, I said to Michael, I said, oh, he has been doing this for a while. I remember you were in Virginia, speaking to the Virginia Democratic Party when you were in town a couple months ago about this very issue. You've been going across the country, and now that your name is popping up on these lists, people are paying a little closer attention. Why abortion for you? Because a lot of folks would say, oh, they expect a number of women to speak out, but men are speaking out about this issue as well. You are governor of Illinois. Why is this an important issue that you had to raise your voice about?
Well, thank you very much, and it's great to be on the weekend. This is a great weekend. I have to say, I've been fighting for abortion rights really my entire life, and let me just tell you why. My mother was an abortion rights activist. She was an LGBTQ plus activist, too, in the 70s when it wasn't as widely accepted as it is now. And I was the youngest child of a mom who cared deeply and who would bring me along with her on those marches and into those meetings. And so I don't know whether it's nature or nurture, but frankly, fighting for women's reproductive rights, fighting for individual rights comes naturally to me. And when I became governor, I made sure that we protected reproductive rights here in the state of Illinois, not just for people in the state, but also people who are escaping their states and need an oasis that will care for them when they're just seeking to exercise their rights. So I care deeply about that, and I'm going to continue to do that my entire life.
So, Governor, it is a real treat. I always love it when I get to hang with the governors or former lieutenant governors. So you know how that goes. It's good to see you, sir, and welcome. You have been in the news, not just for your very personal and important stance in the abortion rights space, but also as a potential vice presidential pick for Kamala Harris. You've got the possibilities, the list of names being considered for Vice President Harris running mate. You've got those who supposedly received vetting materials, Gretchen Whitmer, Tim Walz, Roy Cooper, Josh Shapiro, Mark Kelly. Under consideration, which I think is an interesting category, yourself, Andy Beshear, and Pete Buttigieg. So I'm just going to ask you, sir, have you moved from the under consideration list to the received vetting materials list, which is, how should we say in the game, stepping up?
Well, I'm not going to talk about the interactions I've had with the campaign, but let's just say I'm aware that the vetting process is quite an in-depth one that takes often weeks and months, and there are really only about 8 days until a decision probably has to be made. So putting that aside, I mean, I want to say that no matter what my position is at the end of this process, I'm going to be out there fighting for Kamala Harris. I mean, she genuinely cares about middle-class Americans, about fighting for workers' rights, making sure that we're guaranteeing a woman's right to choose. These are hugely important issues. And, you know, I love how the Republicans love to, well, they like to throw names on people and cast aspersions, but they don't have any issues. And, in fact, they've been hiding their issues. I don't know if you noticed that J.D. Vance wiped away all references to abortion on his website because his positions are so extreme. He's a fraud, right? He's been avoiding answering questions around that. Donald Trump is, of course, a 34-time convicted fraudster. And so they belong together, J.D. Vance being Donald Trump's mini-me.
It's a match made in heaven, as I've heard a number of Democrats say. So, Governor, it's safe to say then that if in fact you were offered the role of Vice President Harris's running mate, would you accept that?
Look, I have so much respect for Kamala Harris, and it would be hard not to consider it seriously. I do love being governor of the state of Illinois, and we've accomplished quite a lot here. We've banned assault weapons in the state, protected a woman's right to choose. We've raised wages. In fact, I think I'm the only governor that's raised the minimum wage to $15 an hour, certainly in the Midwest. And I believe strongly that, we've got to go out and fight for these things nationwide. We banned book bans in the state of Illinois. So much of what we've accomplished here is what is needed for America. So I'm going to go out and advocate for Kamala Harris. I'm going to advocate for these issues across America. And we've got to win in November, because Donald Trump would be a disaster for American families.
So, Governor, let's raise up that part of the conversation a little bit more. We were just talking in the last half hour about the tone that is now emerging from Donald Trump just last night in front of a group of Christians, of all people. He's name-calling the vice president a bum, as a bum. He's making, horrible references to her position, as other Republicans are, leveling up the misogyny, leveling up the race accusations, the racist accusations. How do you see this election over the next 100 days playing out in that regard? Is it really a battle between those who are trying to get in front of the American people with, ideas about policy and moving the country forward, at the same time having to battle those who want to pull us back into the mud of personal vitriol and accusations and name-calling?
Well, when Donald Trump goes on the attack, personal attacks against people, it shows he's afraid, and he is afraid of Kamala Harris. I mean, facing off against her, frankly, an accomplished woman, someone who's truly gotten things done, who is smart. He's afraid to do that and doesn't want to face her in a debate. It's the fraudulent nature of his own candidacy that he's afraid to face up to. Can you imagine the two of them on a debate stage and how she would prosecute the case against him in front of the American public? So I think we're going to have to face all of these, name calling, the racism, the sexism. I've always said that he's a homophobe, a xenophobe. And the reason he's, again, on the attack is because he knows this is all coming home to roost against him. So we've got to get out there and get the message out about fighting for American families, about the fact that we're the ones who are making things more affordable, bringing down inflation, that it's Kamala Harris that's out there fighting for the rights of every American. And Donald Trump is just, every day he makes something new up, because he doesn't want to answer for his own record of sending jobs overseas and sending manufacturing overseas and failing the American public.
Governor, before we go, I want to ask you about Sonya Massey. The vice president has called Sonya Massey's family. She was a 36-year-old black woman who was fatally shot by a sheriff's deputy in her home. Absolutely brutal, frankly. You put out a statement from July 17th, and you said Sonya Massey was concerned for her safety and called law enforcement to her home for protection. Like all Illinoisans, she deserved that protection. Instead, innocent and unarmed, she was gunned down by an officer of the law. May Sonya Massey's memory be a blessing, and may it fuel our work to build a system of justice in this country that truly protects all of its citizens. This is a issue, frankly, that given all of the news that has happened this week, it did not make the front pages of the major papers, but this is something that I have heard from so many people. When it comes to criminal justice reform, policing in this country, there is still a lot of work to do. I know this is something that's important to the vice president. Just a word on criminal justice reform and the vision, the stark contrast between what Donald Trump's vision of reform and criminal justice in America is and what the Harris campaign has set up as that vision.
Well, I'm glad you raised this, and I want to say that I was with the Massey family when the vice president reached out to them, and with Ben Crump at the time, too. This is a terrible tragedy, and what's so sad is that we've now seen over and over again the George Floyd, the Breonna Taylor incidents of police brutality, murder against innocent black people. And it just keeps happening over and over. Are we not learning from this? And I'm deeply saddened by it. I'm also outraged and believe that there's so much more that we have to do. We've done criminal justice reform work here in the state of Illinois, and I've worked with the Black Caucus in our legislature to get that done. We've done away with cash bail, which has kept more violent criminals in jail. And that's been an important thing, but also let people who have committed nonviolent crimes go back to their jobs so they can then appear in court later and at least afford to be able to get there. You know, I'm a big believer that we've got a lot of work to do. And Vice President Kamala Harris is a believer in that, too. We share that in common, and I don't think there's any state in America that's done more to fight for the rights of black people all across our state. One last thing. You know, Sonia Massey is not alone in having been the target of the brutality of, you know, a police officer. But I want to say that, look, most police officers are doing the right thing. They're really doing the work that we all want them to do. You know, when you pick up the phone and call 911, you want a police officer to come. You need it. It's an emergency. And we have so many great police officers all around the United States. But the ones that are doing it wrong, the ones that are committing crimes, they need to be held accountable. And this sheriff's deputy in a downstate county, he's going to be held accountable. And in fact, within 10 days, the investigation was done. He was charged with murder, and he's now in custody.
Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, thank you very much for your time and your work, sir.
Thank you.